I'm Dylan from Paranormal Thoughts Podcast. I hope you are doing well. This video is a preview of what Paranormal Thoughts Podcast is, to give you an overview of what we do here. Paranormal Thoughts Podcast, exploring the world of paranormal events through real people's accounts. What makes this podcast different from others in the same category is that we hear from the everyday experiencer. We want to give people a voice to express their views, emotions, and stories on the paranormal. We speak on topics from alien abduction, UFO sightings, hauntings, cryptids, myths, and conspiracy theories. One of the ongoing segments we have here on the podcast is Interview with an Abductee. This is where we speak with everyday people who claim to have had an alien abduction experience. You'll hear from some of these people in this next short preview. The podcast is available for download or for streaming on all podcast hosting websites.
My name's Caleb Booker. I'm a working psychic. From aliens' perspective, everybody kind of agrees, yeah, probably nobody wants to talk about a personal experience unless they have like an uncle who saw something fly by one day. It's still a very strange thing. I reached out to you, Dylan, because I had this itch. I get insights about everybody's life but my own. I don't really know what's coming up for me. And the other day I had this notion, hey, you know what, Caleb, it's time to start talking about aliens and your connection with alien life. And it was this short, roundish alien with lots of wrinkles on their face, working through the soles of someone's feet with these threads, these glowing white threads. And I looked at that and I went, oh my God, that's it. That's what happened.
At that time, I decided to get back inside. And then suddenly there was this, like a flash of light right in front of my face. It's like a camera going off in your face. And then I found myself, I was walking down a hallway, kind of a dimly lit hallway. It wasn't dark, but it wasn't bright at the same time. And it was involuntary. I could only move my eyes. But even though I could still see out of the corners, and I saw there were two of them on either side of me, grays. I was just terrified out of my mind. I couldn't speak or anything, and that's when I heard a voice in my head say, everything will be fine as long as you cooperate with us. I was being spoken to telepathically.
The Mothman shows up in November of 1966 in Point Pleasant, West Virginia. The first sighting is from 5 men who are preparing a grave in a cemetery. The 5 of them see this man-like creature just take off. And this is what happens a lot too in Mothman reports, that the wings don't flap when the creature takes off. It's just a flotation, almost just like a helicopter taking off. And they do claim to report hearing the wings flap afterwards, but they don't see the wings movement. It is to that point where it is almost supernatural or just something we don't understand.
My name's Reverend James. And there's a famous incident from around here from about 1997 where an object the size of a Walmart floated over a small town called Stephenville, Texas. 2 men, black uniforms, white shirts, black ties, black fedoras, and they were like, would you mind if we look around?
My group went into the old hospital in the jail. We're in there, 15 of us. We're on the 2nd floor of the building, and then we hear these footsteps coming up the stairs down the other end of the hall, and very clear, very slow, pretty heavy. We all heard it. We all just looked at each other. It was just one of those moments where it's just like, no way.
I'm Chaz Talley. I founded the Space Coast Paranormal Society. We had a kid. He had been through a whole lot. He was seeing shadow people, which we've had an increase of reports of shadow people. But he was seeing a shadow man with a hat on and, as he claimed, shiny shoes. And it was scaring him so bad, this poor kid built a safe space in his closet. He would see it and run to his closet and hide in there like all night. We actually got an EVP where I had asked, do you know that you're scaring the kid? It actually said, sorry, you don't have to worry.
What I think is great about Yowies is, like in America as well, the concept goes back to Native Americans, just like here. Indigenous Australians all around the country have had exact same claims. Depending on where the tribes lived throughout the country, they had different languages. But when they translate what they called a Yowie, it all meant the exact same thing. Hairy, tall man. So whatever these creatures are, they were being seen hundreds of years ago.
BFRO, the Bigfoot Field Researchers Organization, is touted as like the world's premier and foremost and only Bigfoot organization doing scientific research. There's this town called Incline Village when you go into town from Reno, where I live. This guy and his father were driving along the road and they saw something crossed and ran back up into the hills. And this was at 5 a.m. You know, they saw it run across from, I believe, left to right. So from the beach side up into the hills. And they rolled their windows down and said that they could hear something howling.
Kind of a dim blue light. It's kind of hard to explain what it looked like. It wasn't moving, it wasn't pulsating. It was just a solid kind of dim blue glow coming through the window. And in front of the window was a silhouette. It was not a typical gray silhouette as most people identify. And of course, everyone's seen drawings and pictures of grays. It did not look like that, but its head was flat and elongated, almost in a Y shape if you took the two tips of the Y and kind of bent them flat. I don't remember exactly how long I looked at it or how long I stared at it, but it began to move. It started to rock back and forth, and I couldn't tell if it was coming towards me or what it was doing, but it started rocking back and forth. I immediately got extremely frightened. I do remember that. I turned around, ran back into my room and covered up with the sheet, and I remember like hiding my head below my pillow. Then I just nothing. Like I actually remember there being nothing. I was almost like, I hate to say a black void because it wasn't even really a color. It was just not being anywhere.
For all of this and more, jump onto any podcasting server and search Paranormal Thoughts Podcast. We are on iTunes, SoundCloud, Stitcher, and TuneIn, just to name a few. Or you can always just Google Paranormal Thoughts Podcast and one of those many options will come up for you. Thanks for your time, and I hope to catch you in a podcast episode soon.